Welcome to the Teacher's Guide to Best Tiered Instruction. Today we'll be looking at second grade benchmark NSO 2.3, which covers adding and subtracting within 100 with procedural reliability. It's important to note that procedural reliability in a benchmark means that students should be choosing a strategy that works for them and that they can rely on to solve the problem. It does not specifically mean that a student should be able to do an algorithm. In first grade, students explored the addition of a 2-digit and a 1-digit number. In second grade, it is the expectation that now we are working with sums and differences of 2-digit numbers within 100. Starting off by letting students build numbers with base 10 blocks allows them to manipulate and regroup the tens with the ones. This strategy of combining tens was a strategy from previous grade levels. Another strategy would be identifying what I can compensate from one add-in to make a 10 number. This comes back from the make a 10 strategy that they used in kindergarten and first grade. In this frame, I provided students with a part whole so that they understand when we are adding add-ins together means that we are composing numbers by combining place values. So all of the tens go on one part of the whole, and all the ones would go to another part of the whole. If students are able to, you should encourage them to regroup or exchange ones if they can make a 10. Using a hundreds chart by counting up allows students to also understand that when we're adding numbers, they can make jumps of tens up the chart and then count by ones moving to the right. This will encourage the use of a number line later on as a strategy. Also, exposing them again to the commutative property is critical when adding larger numbers. So here we switch the numbers, and now I'm adding the tens of one number to prove that when I add the ones, I land on the same sum. In first grade, they learned to also think about subtraction as what do I need to add to a number in order to get to the whole. So with the use of the hundreds chart, students again see how I start with my total and I subtract the subtrahend. Now taking away and progressing from the hundreds chart to a number line, students can now make those jumps of tens and then count by ones to land at their sum. Having them practice the commutative property using the same strategy allows students to see the connection and addition, In this intervention, we see that we are starting with 34, but I'm going to overcompensate because we know that 48 is very close to 50. So if a student feels comfortable counting by tens, allow them to think of a number that is closer to a specific 10, in this case 50. This also encourages the review of counting by tens, using a given number and noticing that the ones place did not change until the end when it needed to take the 2 away. Hopefully you found some helpful strategies that you can incorporate with your students in your classroom and help your students with adding and subtracting numbers. It is important to remember that we are building on previous strategies learned so that students can build their number sense of numbers and have fluency when it comes to adding and subtracting as the numbers are getting larger. Regrouping and exchanging was discussed in all of these strategies. However, subtracting vertically is not required for them to be fluent or use that as their strategy, but feel free to always guide them to a more efficient strategy.